Who can forget this scene from the 1966 iconic movie Flight of the Phoenix, starring Jimmy Stewart? This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Little did I know that Paul Mantz, Hollywood's greatest stunt pilot, would be killed while filming a flight sequence for this movie, and that it would take me 3 months to find the location of the crash site in the Algodones Dune complex.
Hi, I'm Bill Berry, and welcome to my desert adventures.
For those who aren't familiar with The Flight of the Phoenix, it's a 1965 classic about a group of men stranded in the Sahara after their plane crashes. Their survival hinges on a bold plan to build a new aircraft out of the wreckage. The film featured a heavily modified plane that Manz was contracted to build and fly. It was customized to look like something pieced together in the desert. The aircraft, while iconic, was notoriously challenging to fly, especially in such a harsh and uneven environment. Before we get to the search for the crash site, a 60-year-old needle in a haystack, I want to share some of what I learned about Paul Mantz. He was no ordinary pilot. He described himself as a precision pilot, and for good reason. His list of accomplishments is jaw-dropping. He flew a plane through a hangar, belly landed a B-17, and even flew through a billboard, which almost cost him his life when his propellers were damaged by the plywood sign. His skill and daring made him the go-to pilot for Hollywood, and he worked on dozens of films shaping how aerial stunts were done in the industry. Paul Mantz's influence extended well beyond Hollywood. He was a trusted friend and technical advisor to Amelia Earhart. He co-owned her Lockheed Electra and helped prepare it for her infamous around-the-world attempt. His connection to one of aviation's greatest icons speaks to his expertise and passion for flight. How do you go about finding the location of a plane crash that occurred almost 60 years ago? The accident report said that it was 20 miles west of Yuma and 17 miles west of Winter Haven. No other details. None of my wreck chaser friends had GPS coordinates of the crash. The only thing I really had was the videography. There were 3 cameras filming Paul's plane on July 8, 1965. Through very detailed frame-by-frame review of different camera angles and looking at the footage of the original movie in slow motion, I was able to see different shapes of mountain peaks behind and above the sand dunes in the foreground. Paul did 3 touch-and-goes that day. He never meant to land the plane in the valley. It was just too rough. He was just doing touch-and-goes. The second touch-and-go may have cracked the fuselage, and on the third touchdown, the plane came apart, killing him instantly. It took 4 trips to narrow it down to Buttercup Valley, and on my 5th try, I think I made it.
I'm pretty sure I have the spot nailed down to where Paul Mantz crashed his plane on July 8th, 1965. I've aired down my tires. I've got my flag. And I'm ready to go.
Well, I launched the drone and followed myself going into the Buttercup Valley. This Google Earth shot shows how I triangulated the Cargo Muchacho Mountains and the distances from Winter Haven and Yuma. I had exact GPS coordinates of where I thought I should start my grid search so that I could walk back and forth to see if I could find the exact location of the crash. So I made my way as fast as I could to those coordinates where I would start my on-the-ground grid search. Now it was just the tedious process of walking back and forth across the valley, looking for parts on the ground, and checking myself against the background where I could see the mountains over the tops of the dunes.
Well, I've been doing a grid search of this valley, going back and forth across. I'll go, all the way across and then 10 feet up and then across, looking for any kind of metallic object that might represent an airplane part. You know, I've been to a lot of plane wrecks, and this looks just like a piece from a plane wreck. If you look at the broken parts, this piece bent. I mean, this isn't natural. This was a pretty high impact, and he was traveling at 90 miles an hour when he hit the ground. You know, there were parts being thrown quite a ways from that crash, so I think I might be in the pretty close to the location of where that crash happened now. Okay, I think I am close. This is exactly what I expected to see, was a piece like this. This looks like a wrecked airplane part, bent, some sort of a filter, just lying right here. It's got the age to it. Oh my. I think we are close because I found that other part right across the way over there.
I didn't expect to find a typical debris field for this crash. Finding these two parts was a real surprise, actually. The movie company removed the entire plane from the scene of the accident, and there have been over 60 years of OHV activity over the top of this site. There is always the possibility that the parts I found are not a part of the Phoenix, but my experience with air wrecks over the last several years tells me that they probably are. And even if they're not, I'm absolutely sure that this valley is where the plane crash was filmed. The loss of Paul Mantz was a real tragedy. He was an innovator in developing aerial photography and was involved in the completion of hundreds of films over his 35-year career. I have the utmost respect for what he accomplished. May he rest in peace. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and push the like button. I hope to see you again soon on my desert adventures.